Welcome to Module 5, Business and Logistics of Event Catering. Today, we are covering Lesson 5.3, Event Contracts, Legal Considerations, and Permits. In high-stakes event catering, culinary execution is entirely dependent on structural integrity. The true foundation of the operation is legal. Long before the first guest arrives at a venue, the property assumes vast liability and commits immense upfront capital to prepare for the event. To manage this exposure, the event contract operates as the ultimate instrument of protection, establishing firm boundaries for both the venue and the client. It is the mechanism that takes a client's abstract vision for a gathering and translates it into strict, manageable operational directives. Building this framework requires a multi-layered defensive architecture. It involves private financial protections, civil liability shields, rigorous public regulations, and modern data security protocols. From the client's perspective, a successful event feels seamless and effortless. From the venue's perspective, that same event is an exercise in rigorously managed risk. Mastering this complex legal matrix is the defining factor that separates industry leaders from operations facing financial ruin. The first layer of this legal architecture focuses on defining the exact scope of the event. This diagram illustrates the creation of the Banquet Event Order, or BEO. This document converts the client's creative ideas into binding obligations. It records the exact start time of the cocktail hour, the specific vodka brand poured, and precise equipment rentals. Professional catering managers operate on a strict principle. Operational ambiguity is the direct precursor to litigation. Without precise documentation, venues fall victim to scope creep. This occurs when undocumented client requests slowly expand the agreed-upon services, leading directly to operational friction and uncompensated labor. A finalized BEO eliminates this friction. It ensures that the event planner, the host, and the venue management are in absolute alignment regarding the facility's capabilities and limitations. By establishing a highly detailed, rigid scope in writing, the venue prevents operational breakdowns on the floor and protects its profit margins. Once the scope is defined, the contract must address the specific financial risks inherent in large-scale banquet management. Executing a massive event requires the venue to commit significant capital to secure labor and purchase inventory weeks in advance. To mitigate this early risk, the Director of Finance enforces a structured payment schedule, typically anchoring the agreement with a substantial, non-refundable deposit upon signing. This bar chart demonstrates the venue's primary defense against a drop in guest attendance, the attrition clause. If only 300 of 500 guaranteed guests arrive, the client covers that specific revenue loss, ensuring the venue is compensated for staff scheduled and food procured. The attrition clause applies to a reduction in headcount, which is distinct from the cancellation clause. The cancellation clause outlines the strict liquidated damages the client owes if they completely withdraw from the agreement prior to the event date. Together, these financial guarantees provide the executive chef with the budgetary certainty required to confidently order premium ingredients without fearing a sudden loss of funds. Without these strict financial clauses in place, the standard volatility of event planning, shifting headcounts, and sudden cancellations would rapidly bankrupt a catering facility. Beyond financial risk, the contract must address the immense physical risks involved when serving food and alcohol to hundreds of people simultaneously. The potential for incidents is ever present, ranging from severe allergic reactions to the food to slip and fall accidents on the dance floor. Looking at this network map, we see how the indemnification clause acts as an essential legal shield. It explicitly shifts responsibility for certain losses away from the venue, deflecting that liability onto the clients or outside vendors who caused the issue. This liability shield is particularly critical regarding alcohol service and the implications of dram shop laws. Under dram shop laws, an establishment can be held legally liable for the destructive actions of intoxicated guests after they leave the premises. Because of this, the contract must explicitly state that the venue reserves the right to refuse service to any individual at any time. These robust indemnification and liability protocols protect the establishment's liquor license, and they allow the service team to focus entirely on the guest experience without facing undue legal exposure. The private agreement between the venue and the client is only half the equation. It remains entirely subordinate to public regulatory approvals. Event management triggers heightened regulatory scrutiny anytime an operation requires temporary structures, outdoor cooking, or large public gatherings. A compliant event requires securing specific municipal permits, including fire marshal approvals for capacity, noise variances from the local government, and health department certifications for equipment. Behind the scenes, the operations team and the compliance officer must constantly navigate this invisible bureaucratic maze to keep the event legal. Professional handling of this bureaucracy is non-negotiable. Missing a permit can result in heavy municipal fines, or worse, the catastrophic immediate shutdown of an ongoing event by city officials. In recent years, catering contracts have evolved to address modern legal risks introduced by high-profile clientele and the era of ubiquitous social media. Banquet managers are increasingly implementing non-disclosure agreements, or NDAs, which are mandated for all venue staff before they step on the floor. These NDAs dictate the rights to photography and videography within the venue, ensuring strict protection for confidential corporate product launches and the privacy of celebrity guests. This demand for privacy extends to the digital backend, requiring strict data protection within the property management system. The data protection officer must secure all guest personal information, from credit card details to specific medical dietary requirements, in strict compliance with global privacy laws. Seamlessly integrating these modern intellectual property and data protections builds a foundation of client trust that is just as vital as the quality of the food being served. The final stage of this legal process occurs after the guests have left, during post-event reconciliation. Once the banquet captain officially closes out the final check, the accounts receivable clerk and the catering sales manager generate the final invoice. This document accounts for all variables that occurred during service, including any on-consumption beverage charges from the bar and last-minute additions requested by the client. This split-screen comparison demonstrates a critical requirement. The final invoice must align perfectly with the original BEO and any signed amendments made during the event. Despite careful planning, post-event disputes occasionally arise regarding perceived service quality or specific unexpected charges on that final bill. When discrepancies occur, the banquet manager relies on the contract's fallback framework. Referencing agreed-upon dispute resolution clauses objectively neutralizes the conflict. Professional, objective adherence to the written contract ensures that the partnership between the venue and the client ends on a clear and respectful note. By maintaining a rigorous focus on contracts, liabilities, and permits, executive management guarantees that the artistry of the banquet is supported by a rock-solid legal structure. That structure is what allows for sustainable, long-term growth and true industry leadership.